How did the transgender rights movement get started? Imagine a time when simply being open about who you are could lead to harassment or worse. That's how things were for many transgender people in the mid-1900s. The movement for transgender rights actually began as a response to this harsh reality. Although transgender identities have existed across many cultures and throughout history, the modern fight for rights in the United States really took shape in the 1950s and 1960s. Back then, a few key events helped bring visibility to transgender people. One of the most notable was the publicized gender-affirming surgeries of Christine Jorgensen in the 1950s. Her story made headlines and helped people see that transgender individuals are real and deserving of respect. But even with this increased visibility, transgender people still face discrimination, police harassment, and arrests in public spaces. Resistance started to grow in response to this unfair treatment. One of the earliest major protests was the Cooper Donuts riot in Los Angeles in 1959. This was followed by the Compton's Cafeteria riot in San Francisco in 1966. But the most famous event that marked the start of the modern movement was the Stonewall riots in New York City in 1969. These riots involved transgender women of color, along with gay and lesbian activists, fighting back against police raids and discrimination. After Stonewall, activists like Sylvia Rivera and Marsha P. Johnson became leaders in the movement. They helped organize groups like the Street Transvestite Action Revolutionaries, which supported homeless queer youth and sex workers. These groups worked to protect and uplift transgender communities that faced even more challenges. Throughout the 1970s and beyond, the movement gained more organization and visibility. Transgender people started speaking out publicly about their identities and rights. However, tensions also arose within the larger LGBTQ+ community, especially around the inclusion of transgender women. This showed that the fight for equality was complex and ongoing. Legal progress was made over the years, with laws and court rulings recognizing transgender rights. But many transgender people, especially transgender women of color, still face violence and discrimination today. Recently, advocacy groups have come together to fight new laws that threaten their rights and safety. They focus on pushing for better legal protections, healthcare access, and community support. Understanding how the transgender rights movement started helps us see the courage of early activists who stood up against oppression. It also reminds us that the fight for equality involves many different struggles, including race, class, and gender. This history shows us why community support and legal protections are so important in continuing this fight today.